Good evening, all. In the last class, I explained how to create database in MySQL. Okay. In the last class, what I did in this is a MySQL database software. Okay. What is this? This is a MySQL database software. So, in the last class, by writing one query, we are creating a database with the name college. So, what is that query? Create database college. Create database college. If this query is executed, what will happen? If this query is executed, one sub database is created inside MySQL database. So what is that sub database name? College. Okay. So if this query is executed, then one database or sub database with the name college is created in MySQL database software. Okay. Now my requirement is I want to create a table in that college sub database. For that, what we need to do? So in the last class, I said one rule in MySQL. What is that? If you want to perform or if you want to create any tables in a particular database, first of all, you need to change or you need to switch into that particular database. Okay, once again, I am repeating the point. In order to create tables in a particular database, first of all, you need to change into that particular database. Okay, how to change into particular database? So by using use query, just write like this, use college. Okay, if you execute this particular query, then you are going to enable college database. Now if you create any table, then the table is going to create in college database. Okay, so now what is our requirement? Now my requirement is I want to create a particular table. So now I am explaining how to create tables in MySQL database. Our concept is creating tables. So there is one query. That query name is create. What is the query name? Create. So listen here. Create query is used in two purposes. One is create query is used to create sub database or database. Okay. And create query is also used to create tables. So create query or command is used to create table in the given database. Okay, so what is the syntax of create query? The syntax for create query is create table name column 1 data type, comma column 2 data type and so on, column n data type. So this is the syntax for creating table. Okay, this is the syntax for creating table. Listen here. So In the last class or in the previous classes, I already explained about what is table. Table is nothing but collection of rows and columns. Collection of rows and columns. Sir, what is row? Row is also called record. Rows are also called records. Okay. Rows or records represents data stored in the table. Data stored in the table. Okay. Then what about columns? Columns are also called fields. We can also call columns as attributes. So come on, tell me. Rows table is nothing but collection of rows and columns. Am I right? Okay, fine. So what is meant by rows? Rows are also called records, which represents data stored in the given table. Okay. Columns are also called fields or attributes. Attributes. So which represents details of the data which you want to store in database. Which you want to store in database. For example, I will give you one example, then you will get more clarity. For example, you want to store employee details in a particular database table. Okay, there are so many number of details related to employee. For example, employee ID, employee name, employee salary, date of joining, HRA, DA, net salary, designation, and so on, etc. All these are the details belongs to employee. Okay. First of all, you need to decide which details you want to store in the table of particular database software. Okay. If you are able to store at least one detail, then you are able to store all the details. Okay. In my example, I want to store employee ID, employee name, and employee salary in the table of particular database. For that, we need to create how many columns? 3 columns. Okay. What is the reason behind it? Because I want to store 3 details of employee. Okay. That's why we need to create how many columns? 3 columns, whose names are employee number, employee name, and employee salary. Okay. Suppose your requirement is you want to store student details in a table of particular database software. Then first of all, you need to decide student contains lot of details. Among those details, first of all, you need to decide which details you want to store. In my example, I want to store student number, student name, student address. Okay. Then how many columns you need to create in that particular table? 3 columns. Sir, I want to store mobile number also, student mobile number also. Okay. Then how many columns you need to create? 4 columns: student number, student name, student address, and phone number. So here the conclusion is the number of columns to be created for a table depends on the number of details you want to store in the table. Okay. Here you need to remember one point: the number of columns to be created in a table depends on number of details you want to store in that particular table. particular table. Okay, particular table. So in this way we are storing data in the table. Okay, is it clear? What is the example? Suppose to store three details. Suppose to store three details of a student. Suppose to store three details of a particular student. Then you need to create how many columns? You need to create three columns. Okay, to store 10 details of a student. To store 10 details of a student, how many columns you need to create? 10 columns. Okay, so here the conclusion is the number of columns to be created in a table depends on the number of details you want to store in that particular table. Okay, suppose my requirement is suppose my requirement is I want to store student details. Okay, I want to store student details in college database. Okay, for that, first of all, what you need to do for that? First of all, you need to change or switch into which database? Into college database. How to change or switch into particular database? By using use query. So you need, first of all, you need to write the query use college. Then college database is activated. Now, so what is your requirement? Storing student details like, let us assume, like SNO, S name, student number, student name, and student address in college database. Okay, right. So for that, we need to create how many columns? 3 columns. Here, once observe the syntax. What is the syntax? Create table name, column 1 data type, column 2 data type, column n data type. Okay, this is the syntax for table. Here you can give any name for the table. Okay, but it should be meaningful. Okay, suppose here I am teaching SQL language. I am explaining about SQL language for you people, but I keep the heading as I keep the heading as chemistry demo. Okay, I keep the heading as chemistry demo. If anyone punishes me for that, why you are keeping chemistry demo even though you are teaching SQL? No, it is my wish. I can write chemistry demo or physics demo even though I am teaching SQL in that class, but it is meaningless. Am I right or wrong? Yes, obviously it is meaningless. Okay, why it is meaningless? Here I am explaining SQL, but I am announcing it is a chemistry class. Is it meaningful? No. In the similar manner, you can give any name for the table, but it should be meaningful. So as per my requirement, I want to store student details in the table. That's why I am taking table name as student. Now here observe one thing: column 1 data type, column 2 data type, and so on, column n data type. Here what it means, each and every column contains in a table must each and every column contains specific data type in the table. Okay, so here the point is every column contains every column contains what, some specific data type. Okay, now the question generated in your brain, sir, what is data type? If you know about C language, C++ language, Java language, then I think you are already familiar with data types. Okay, so if you don't know about C, C++, Java, not a issue. Now I am going to explain about data type. So here the concept is data type. So the name indicates that it represents, data type represents, data type represents, data type represents what type of data, what type of data we are going to store, we are going to store, what type of data we are going to store in the table of database software. The table of database software. Okay, in the table of database software. So data type represents what? What type of data we are going to store in the table of database software. Sir, there are different types of data types. For example, 10, 10.5, A, hello, hello. So it is a integer type data. Okay, it is a float type data. Example for float type data. It is a character data. Okay, and it is a group of characters, nothing but string. Group of characters, nothing but string. So what is the meaning of int? From in the childhood, everyone learns integer numbers only. So int means the number which does not contain any fractional part, decimal part. Okay, the number which does not contain any decimal part or fractional part, then that number is called integer number. Example 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on, etc. Okay, there is no fractional part. So what is float number? If any number contains fractional part, means decimal part, then such type of number is called floating number. 10.5, 2.5, 3.5. Here, each and every number contains decimal part or fractional part. Such numbers are called float. So all the alphabets, capital A to Z, small a to Z, each and every symbol, plus, minus, and so on, etc., all are called characters. Okay. So group of characters are nothing but string type of data. For example, while you are filling an online application form, there are some fields or columns. Okay, I think everybody up to now, everybody fills a particular application form in your life. Am I right? So, for example, what application form contains what? Name, father name, mother name, phone number. Suppose you are filling application form. In that application form, you are going to submit your percentage also. Okay, marks percentage. Now come on, tell me, what is the data type for name? Obviously. So no one name is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Am I right? So everyone name must be string, group of characters. Example Suresh, Naresh, Ramesh, and so on, etc. Okay, father name string, mother name string, phone number int, percentage, float. Okay, so these are the various data types. Okay, so now my requirement is data type represents what type of data, means you are storing integer data or float data or character data or group of characters, means strings in particular table, is decided by data type. Okay, I hope everyone very understands very clearly about data type. Okay, so this is about data type. In SQL we have lot of data types. One fine day, exclusively I will talk about various data types present in SQL language separately, exclusive session for discussing about data types in SQL language. Okay, for example, here I am giving more explanation. If you take if you take if you take particular column data type, particular column data type as int, then that column allows only integer values. That column allows only integer values. Okay, if you take particular column data type, as float, then that column allows only float values, means fractional values. Okay, float values. One more thing you need to notice, in SQL string is represented with varchar data type. What is the data type name? Varchar data type. In SQL string is represented with varchar data type. Okay, so if you take particular column data type as varchar, then that column allows only strings to be stored. Okay, to be stored. It allows strings to be stored. So if any column data type is integer, then it allows only integer values to be stored. If any column data type is float values to be stored. Okay, right. Now, as per my requirement, I want to store SNO, SNAME, SADD, in college database. Okay, so here how many details I am going to store? 3 details. So how many tables you need to create? How many columns you need to create in our table? 3 columns. Okay, so what are those? So I am giving the table name as student. How many columns you are going to create? 3 columns. Why? Because I want to store 3 details of students. So columns, how many columns? 3 columns. You can give any name for the column names, but it should be meaningful. Okay, SADD. So first of all, we will decide data type for the columns. So what is the data type for student number? 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. So int. So what is the data type for student name? Varchar. So what is the data type for student address? Varchar. Okay, so here the column name is SNO and its data type is int. So it allows only integer values to be stored. Okay, it allows only integer values to be stored. So here the column name is SNAME and its data type is varchar. So it allows only varchar. It allows only string values to be stored. Am I right? String values to be stored. Why? Because SNAME data type is varchar. Now SADD, and its data type is varchar. So it also allows string values to be stored. So in order to create a particular table, step 1, you need to identify the number of columns to be created in that particular table. Step 2, you need to identify data type for each column. Then it is very easy to create table. Okay, now I am going to create the table. So this is the syntax for creating table. Okay, based on that syntax, I am going to create a table. So here, first what you are writing, create table. So here also you need to create table. I am going to store student details. That's why I am giving table name as student. Is it mandatory to give table name as student? No, it is not mandatory. So, but it should be meaningful. You can give any name, but it should be meaningful. Here, how many columns it contains? 3 columns. SNO, column 1 is SNO and its data type is int. Column 2, SName and its data type is varchar. Column 3 is SADD and its data type is varchar. You will write like this: SName int of some 3, comma SName varchar of some 30, comma SADD varchar of some 30. Okay, so listen here. If you execute this query, one table is created with the name student. It contains how many columns? 3 columns: SNO, SName, SADD. Okay, and SNO data type is int, so it allows integer values. SName data type is varchar, so it allows strings, means group of characters. SADD data type is varchar, so it allows strings. So here the question in your brain is, sir, what is 3, what is 30, and what is 30? Listen here. Here the value specified in the parenthesis size of that particular column. Okay, size of that particular column. So here int of 3, you can write any value. It specifies size. Here I am writing 3. So SNO allows the numbers up to 999. Okay, it does not allow 1000. Why? 1000 contains how many digits? 4 digits. Okay, here I am giving 3, so it allows up to 999. Okay, because 999 contains how many digits? 3 digits. Okay, up to 999. Suppose here if you write 2, SNO allows how many numbers up to which number? 99. Okay, it does not allow 100. Okay, because 100 contains how many digits? 3 digits. Okay, I hope you people understand. Now, varchar of 30, what it means? So the length of the string to be stored in SName is 30. Sir, what is length of the string? The number of characters allowed in a given string. Okay, represents length of the string. In SName, we can store the string which contains maximum of 30 characters. Okay, SADD also same 30 characters. If you specify 50, it allows the strings of length 50 characters. That means you can enter the string with the maximum length 50 characters. Okay, so you can take any size. It depends upon your requirement. Okay, right. If you execute this query, what will be happen? One table is created with the name student. Okay, it contains how many columns? 3 columns. 3 columns. What are those? SNO, SName, SADD. Okay, SNO, SName, SADD. Okay, so here SNO data type is int. It stores integer values. SName data type and SADD data type are varchar. So they allow string values to be stored. Okay, so in this way we are creating table in a particular database. here we are creating table inside college database with the name student. But here we have one problem. So listen carefully. What is that problem and how to solve that problem? Suppose let us assume here there is a table student. Okay, is that table contain any data? No. Why? Because we are not storing any data. Okay, let us assume you are storing some data. Okay, even though you don't know SQL query to store the data, let us assume you know how to insert data. Okay, and you are inserting some data. Okay, just assumption. Suppose you are inserting first record. You are inserting first record. It asks you enter SNO. Suppose you are giving 111 and it is again asking enter S name. You are giving what? AAA. It asks you enter SADD. Suppose you are giving HYD. Okay. Listen here. Before inserting data into student table, how it look like? Student table SNO. Okay. Student name and student address. Okay, it doesn't contain any data. Does not contain any data. Okay, suppose I am inserting 11111 AAA HYD, then one record is successfully inserted into student table. Okay, like this 111 AAA HYD. Okay, now I am inserting second record. Okay, second record. Once again, it asks you enter SNO, enter S name, and enter SADD. So here I am giving some common. Okay. So if you enter the data, then student table contains how many records? 2 records. Okay, 112, triple B, and common. Okay. Now tell me, student table contains how many records? 2 records. One record is belongs to 111 and one record belongs to 112. So 111 name is AAA and his location is HYD. 112 name is B and his location is Khammam. Now I am going to insert third record. Okay. So it again asks you what? Enter third record. It then again asks you enter SNO. This time I am giving 112. Here I am giving CCC and here I am giving HYD. Okay. So then this record is stored into which table? Student table. 112. Here I am giving again 112. Okay. Triple C and HYD. Okay. Now tell me, student table contains how many records? 3 records. 111 AA HYD, 112 BBB, 112 CCC HYD. So here observe this data very carefully. How many records we have? 111. Here we have one problem. Please identify or please notice that problem. It's very simple. In this entire world, in the same classroom, there are no students with the same hall ticket number or same rule number. Okay? Is it right or wrong in real life? Obviously, correct. No student contains same hall ticket number. Okay, one student hall ticket number is not matched with other student hall ticket number or rule number. Okay, but here what? Here observe, what is the rule number of B? 112. What is the rule number of C? 112. Okay, the rule number of B and C both are both the students' rule number is same. Is it valid or invalid? obviously it is invalid. But student table stores even though if you give invalid data. Okay, so this is the problem. Okay, sir, tell me one thing, why this problem is came? Because we are not putting any constraint on the data of this particular table. Okay, constraint means rule. We are not specifying any rule on the table student. Okay, so that's why it allowing any type of data. Okay, so come on, tell me, here we are not specifying or putting any rule or constraint, any rule or constraints. Constraint means rules. Okay, on the table, on the student table. So it allows duplicate SNOs, duplicate SNO. Okay, so what is the solution for this problem? What is the solution for this problem? Applying constraints or rules, constraints or rules on the table, on the table. Okay, that is the solution for this problem. So listen carefully. In previous classes, I said key point 1 in SQL. What is that? SQL contains queries. Each and every query contains some specific purpose. If you know the purpose of particular SQL query and how to use that SQL query, you can use it in order to fulfill your requirement. That is the key point 1. Now, I am going to explain second key point in SQL. Sir, what is that? Listen here. SQL contains number of constraints. SQL contains what? Number of constraints. Okay. Each and every constraint contains some specific purpose, some specific use. Okay, SQL contains lot of constraints. Each and every constraint contains some specific purpose. Okay, if you know use of particular constraint, then you can happily use that constraint, in order to fulfill your requirement. Okay, so fulfill your requirement in order to fulfill your requirement. So listen carefully. What is the key point 2? SQL contains number of constraints. Okay, each and every constraint contains some specific purpose or some specific use. Okay, if you know use of particular constraint, then you can use that in order to fulfill your requirement. Listen here. One fine day, I am talking about constraints exclusively. So I will cover each and constraint of SQL in later classes. Time being, I am explaining few constraints. Now, here my concentration is not talking about constraints. Okay, here my concentration is how to create table. I want to explain how to create table for you people. Okay, so as a part of creating table, here I need to tell about some constraints. That's why here I am explaining only 2 constraints. In future, I am going to explain each and every constraint present in SQL. Okay, so no worry about constraints. So here I want to talk about one particular constraint. That constraint name is primary key. Sir, what is primary key? It's very simple. Primary key is one of the constraint. Primary key is a constraint. In which language? in SQL language. In SQL language. Sir, you are applying constraints for what? Columns of the table. Okay. You are applying constraint for columns of the table. If you take or apply primary key constraint, if you take or apply primary key constraint for a particular column, for a particular column, then that column does not allow duplicate values. Does not allow which values? Duplicate values, and does not allow null values. If you take or apply which constraint? Primary key constraint for a particular column, then that column never allows duplicate values and does not allow null values. Null values means leaving blank, ante means null values means empty values. Okay. Okay, fine. Listen here. If you apply primary key for SNO column, that SNO column does not allow duplicate values and null values. If you apply primary key for SNAME, it does not allow duplicate values and null values. If you apply primary key for SADD, it does not allow null values and duplicate values. Okay? Null values and duplicate values. Null values and duplicate values. Just a minute. Okay, fine. If you apply primary key for SNO, it does not allow null values and duplicate values. If you apply primary key for SNAME, it does not allow duplicate values and null values. If you apply primary key for SADD, it does not allow duplicate values and null values. Here, the conclusion is there is no particular rule for applying primary key. No one said as a rule. So you must apply primary key for only this column. No such type of rules are there in SQL. Okay. You can take primary key for any column, but it should be meaningful. Okay. There are three cases. Case 1, in a particular class, no students with the same rule number. Student rule numbers are not matched. Unique. Am I right? Yes, unique. Next, case 2, in a particular class, there may be students with the same name. Is it possible or not possible? Yes, it is possible. Okay. Student names may be duplicate names. Student name allows duplicate values. Okay. In a particular class, there are several students are there from the same location. Is it possible or not? Yes, possible. So here SNO does not allow duplicate values. Means there are no students with the same rule number, but there is a chance of students with the same name and students from the same location. Am I right? So here taking primary key for SNAME and SADD is meaningful? No, it is not meaningful. Okay. But which is meaningful? Applying primary key for SNO is meaningful. Okay. That's why here I want to apply primary key for SNO. Right? Is it clear about primary key? Now, another constraint is not null. Come on, tell me one thing. Is it mandatory to apply primary key for particular column only? No, there is no such type of rule. You can take primary key for any column. It depends upon your requirement. Okay, but it should be meaningful. It should not. It should be meaningful. Okay. Generally, for any student, student number is unique. Okay, student number does not contain duplicate values. So we need to take primary key for student number. Now, not null. Sir, what is not null? Not null is also a constraint. Not null is also a constraint. Not null is a constraint in SQL language. Sir, if you take or apply not null constraint to any column or any field, then that column allows duplicate values. Okay, allows duplicate values, but does not allow null values. Okay, the name itself shows you it does not allow null values. In most of the interviews, there is one famous interview question, that is, what is the difference between primary key and not null? Okay, primary key, so it allows, it does not allow, it does not allow, duplicate values, comma, it does not allow, null values. Okay, null values. So whereas not null, not null, so it allows duplicate values but does not allow null values. Null values means empty values. Okay, so it is the that is the difference between primary key and not null. So as per our requirement, so which constraint is suitable for SNO? Primary key. For SNAME and SADD, not null. So now I am creating table. Observe. So I am changing the way of creating table. So copy, paste. So here I am taking primary key. Okay. Here I am taking not null. Here I am taking not null. Okay. Now observe. If this particular query is executed, one table is created with the name student. It contains how many columns? 3 columns. SNO, SNAME, and SADD. So what is the data type of SNO? Int. So it allows integer values. It allows what? Integer values. What is the data type of SNAME? Varchar. It allows string values, means group of characters. What is the data type of SADD? Varchar. So it allows string values to be stored. So here I am applying primary key constraint on SNO. So SNO does not allow duplicate values and SNO does not allow null values. Here I am applying not null for SNAME and not null for SADD. So SNAME and SADD does not allow null values, but they allow duplicate values. Okay. So in this way, we are creating table by specifying some constraints. Now tell me, so creating tables with the constraints is better or creating tables without constraints is better? Obviously, creating tables by specifying constraints is always recommended. Okay, right. Is it clear? Okay, fine. So now I am going to explain it practically. Okay. Now I am going to explain it practically. Listen. So launch or open MySQL workbench. So open it, root. Okay. 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 Just a minute. I already created student table. Okay, fine. Now listen here. Here we have multiple databases: college, Sakila, SIS, Test World. First of all, you need to select one particular database in order to create your table. So in my example, I want to create table inside college database. So first of all, you need to switch into that particular college database. How to switch? Right, use college. Observe. So now college database is activated or not? Yes, obviously. If you write any create query for table, then the table is created in college database. Once observe, here you have any table? No. Here college database does not contain any table. Now I am going to create. So just copy paste this particular query. Copy, copy, paste. Okay. So you can write like this also. Okay. So if this query is executed, then what happen? One table is created with the name student. It contains how many columns? 3 columns: SNO, SNAME, SADD. Okay. SNO data type is int, and I am applying primary key constraint on it. So it allows integer values up to 999. Okay. Why? Because here I am specifying 3. And it does SNO does not allow duplicate values and null values. So, and for SNAME and SADD, data type is varchar. So they allow string values to be stored, and I am applying not null constraint on SNAME and SADD. So SNAME and SADD does not allow null values, but allows duplicate values. So once check, right. Now once refresh, click on refresh. Right, student table is created or not? Okay, select student. Observe here bottom. So here one table, the table name is student. It contains 3 columns: SNO, SNAME, SADD, and their corresponding data types. Here I are applying primary key for SNO. Okay. So like this, we are creating tables. Okay. I hope you people are able to create table your own self. Am I right? Okay. If anybody gives some details in order to store in particular database, to store that details in database, if anyone says details, I think you are able to create table based on those details. Okay. In the next class, I am going to explain how to insert data into a particular table. Okay. Right. Thank you. We will see in the next class.